if you go to Cuba, it looks a little different. If you go to Puerto Rico, it may look a little different. If you go to Trinidad, it looks a little different. And it survived, damn it.
When you got real lit, you was like, and this is, I said, oh, the people need to hear this.
Because the word Isheshe itself translates to like our cultural traditions. You practice Isheshe. You practice Lukumi. You practice Santeria. Oh, that's Lukumi and that's negative in some kind of way. Instead of looking at the fact like, oh my goodness, our traditions, our Isheshe survived. There's an Odu that talks about your mother is Isheshe, your father is Isheshe, your Ori is Isheshe. We have come to think that, okay, the Yoruba practice out of Nigeria is the only thing that's Isheshe. When it's all Isheshe, I do think it's a level of education. So we are going to do a whole episode on the word Isheshe. This is how we start to change, right? Yes. The context and the understanding of who we are in totality, right?
Yeah. Where are the elders? We moved back because you came to us. Your whole attitude towards us is, oh, I already know that.
I Googled it.
Oh, I Googled it.
Wow.
Oh, I got it off of Facebook.
Part of eldership is to keep balance in the community. And sometimes you have to tap them with love, and let new people know this is the way it goes, because they come in and think they know what this is when they really don't.
This journey is not about getting a title, getting beads, and getting vessels. It has nothing to do that. If you take all of that away, stand butt naked in front of Olodumare, the first thing she said was, what? Iwa Pole.
The reason why the energy in Black churches is so different from the energy in non-Black churches is because the Black church is still unconsciously incorporating elements of African spirituality as well as elements of what they deem as witchcraft. Shouting can be traced back to African ceremonial dances that were used for healing, divination, and connecting with the ancestors. Think about it. In Christianity, the Holy Spirit is seen as something that is gentle and that would not overtake or control an individual. So when a Black person in a Black church just loses control and says that they caught the Holy Spirit, of course, if they weren't faking it, it was likely the spirit of an ancestor. These dances also centered around footwork, movement of the feet, stomping of the feet, which was purposed to ground oneself and connect with the earth. Shouting is footwork. Footwork is very rhythmic and follows a pattern that mimics the beat of a drum. Speaking of drums, in ancestral African tradition, drumming holds great significance, and it is seen as a sacred language that again allows for people to connect with their ancestors and those of the spirit. A lot of Black people, even those of us who have denounced Christianity, cannot cut their ties with gospel music. It has very little to do with the lyrics and everything to do with the voice, the melodies, and the beat of the drum. It is so powerful in the way that it touches your spirit. You can literally feel it. It speaks to your soul and your body moves in response. So when we say it's just something about gospel music, yes it is. It is the beat of the drum. Take away the drum and see if it hit the same. Then we have the anointing in the middle of the forehead, which we know is the acknowledgement of the third eye. Lifting up your hands, which is a reverence for and an invitation to your ancestors and divine deities. You have these pastors and ministers who are so animated and skilled with their voices. They know how to use influx and annotations, whoopings, and rhythms to build up a climax through storytelling. This mimics the ancestral tradition of oracles and griots, the prophets and their prophecy. This mimics African oracles and divination practices. I once had a pastor
Peace, everyone.
and asked me my
Can
birthday,
everyone hear me?
and I responded,
Greetings, beloved.
They responded and said, can you include the year also?
I can hear you.
And I promise, the very next Sunday service, they read me down. The good thing about all of this is knowing that we still got it. We haven't lost it. The sad part, though, is that it's not being used in a way to empower us, as it was intended to do.
Greetings, divine, all blessed, peace and love, joy and prosperity. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, powered by, sponsored by, promoted by, carried by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. We continue to invite you to join us by visiting, by signing up, by volunteering, by sponsoring and donating, and becoming a part of this historic and powerful event. Visit us at www.vodouday.org, www.voodooday.org for more information as it relates to our third annual International New Orleans Voodoo Day. All is truly and indeed a blessing. And we are indeed grateful for your continued support and participation in this platform we have created for the talk and discussion of all things voodoo, hoodoo, obia, root work, conjure, ATR, in this sacred space we all choose to create here. And so I want to welcome my co-host, my elder and uh, committee member and team member and financial advisor and spiritual advisor and grassroots spiritual practitioner, Elder Reggie. We know as Green Soap here on this platform. And then we will reintroduce our beloved Queen Mother, Sister Toni Val Martinez. Peace and blessings, Elder Reggie. Come on in. How you doing?
Okay. Peace, divine blessings to you also, Sister Toni. I don't know if Josh on and everyone else within the chat. Blessings to you all. We are here.
And we certainly are grateful for you. Sister Val, come on in, beloved.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing fine out there in the listening area. Greetings, Elder Reggie, Divine. It's a lot going on in our country tonight. I'm kind of distracted trying to
Yes,
keep up
indeed.
with the Marines and the National Guards and the January 6th insurrectionists that's headed to Los Angeles in a caravan to be there in 16 hours. So you know what that means. It's going to be all out warfare in the streets.
And the community is asking, what do we do? And certainly in terms of spiritual rites, magical rites, ritual work, ceremony, what do we do? Who do we bind? Who do we direct our energy towards? And I certainly support those who are young enough, healthy enough, motivated enough to get out there, in the streets. But certainly these people need supplies. These people need support. These people need communications and other tools and resources to, maintain the level of activity that we are seeing in California, but may very well soon begin to see in other parts of the country. I think they underestimated, again, California as a target. I was in California on the ground during the last military roll. The tanks came rolling into the streets the fourth day of the uprising as it related to Rodney King, and more importantly, Latasha Harlins, the 15-year-old young black girl who the Korean store owner shot in the head over a bottle of supposedly stolen orange juice, which is really the impetus behind the fire and the fuel that kicked off the Rodney King riots. Certainly, people were on, pins and needles and dramatics as we were with the O.J. Simpson being aired on CNN. So people were watching and listening on radio to the happenings at the court and certainly at Parker Center, which was the police headquarters in Los Angeles at the time. And so we gathered at the community level at the police headquarters. We first gathered within our communities and decided that we would come together at Parker Center and wait on the verdict and then we would protest, march. There was really no clear um, signal that there was going to be a riot or uprising, or LA was going to be subsequently on fire, as it ended up being. And so, yes, the streets were on fire. The gangs, for the first time, I believe, in history, had called a truce, and there was no black on black crime. The police and the fire departments were prevented from interceding or coming into the communities by way of the fires that were being started, and the threat of fires to police vehicles and fire and paramedic vehicles that may have attempted to come in. So by the fourth day, they declared it necessary, and I believe it was in unity with the state, to bring in the National Guard to put out the fires and bring the looting and whatnot to fruition, or to a halt. This is a very different scenario. My understanding, California does not want them there. The state strongly feels the federal government is only, further inciting, the aggressive demonstration that we're seeing. Let's remember now, Watch riots, history. Let's remember now, the Black Panther Party was born, bred, and created in Oakland, California. I mean, we're talking about a lineage, if you will, of revolution, of boycott, of rioting, of pushing back, of standing up against the government. Sort of the illusion that was presented that Hollywood and California was somehow the land of fruits and nuts, and this, liberal bastion, was never true. When I moved to California in the fall of 1986, one of the first things I learned was that California is a hardcore red Republican state. And like Louisiana, Orleans Parish is an island of blue in a sea of red, an island of, Democratic, somewhat liberal, elbow room, surrounded by, a sea of red. And California is very similar. And then you add that ethnic, cultural distinction to the mix, and then the class issue to the mix, the lifestyle, how much it costs to live there, what neighborhood do you live, what schools are you sending your children to be educated and exposed and programmed through. All of those things come into play when you consider California, in terms of uprisings and government actions, as we are seeing right now. These people are more than ready. California, I would hope, has read and consumed Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower, probably more than any other state in the union. So they know what's coming. They know what California is looking like now: lack of water, lack of resources, the cost of gas and energy. And so this pushback was to be expected. So it begs the question, is this the civil war that, the taco wants to create, wants to kick off? Was this a testing ground? Let me add one more thing to the mix. The wealthiest state in America. California is the wealthiest state in America. And if we're going to follow the California Reaganomic trickle-down process, the poorest people in America still would be the wealthiest, poorest people in America, based on their access to resources in California. So the gangs, the red and the blue and the Crips and the Bloods, I beg of you to go back and watch the movie Colors, 1988. Colors, and get a real understanding of the firepower that's in the community and on the street in California. That revolutionary inheritance that runs through the veins of the the Black Power movement, the former hippie movements from California. I would dare say some of the most successful cults have come out of the state of California. So they, you know, the taco has bitten off more than he can chew.
Yeah, I think he has, and I've been watching this since Friday night, and I saw starting last night. It looked like some instigators came in and really started doing some looting and breaking into stuff. I
Forgive
remember
me,
when the
Toni, I'm
Mhm,
sorry. Take a breath.
mhm.
Africa, girl, beloved, Queen Mother, how do we ever forget you? But when Sister Toni is finished, please come on in, Africa Live. We certainly appreciate you, beloved. I remember you absolutely. And the beloved Queen Ifama, may she rest in heaven. But continue, Sister Toni. My apologies.
Yeah, I remember during the Black Lives Matters marches, there were sent into those marches to cause destruction and make it look like the marchers were being violent when it was peaceful protests. I'm starting to see the same thing starting now out there. I scan the crowds because it's so many lives going on. People are going live. It's so many people with phones out there doing the lives. And I scan the crowds to see if it's all Hispanic people, any Africanist people out there, looking people. And at this point, I don't see any too much. There's a few, but not many. I mean, there are thousands of Hispanics in California. Good grief. Tens of thousands out in the
Chicano,
streets.
Latinx, Hispanic,
Yes.
whatever tag you want to put on them, and they come from all parts of the Spanish speaking world. But there are
And like I
also every denomination of Asian is out there if we want to talk about immigrants. Every denomination of African live and exist between Texas and California. There are certainly a lot of colors of folk out there that, as Toni just eloquently spoke, you're not necessarily seeing that in the footage.
no, but with these megas that's headed that way saying they going there to support the National Guard and they're patriots and they're the Minuteman militias, they headed that way. So things gonna really get bad once they get there. They already got a group on horseback beating the people with sticks off from the horses. I mean, it's really getting bad. It's really getting bad. And I think that Trump just wants to declare martial law. They leading up to this June 14th when they know that they're going to have all these massive protests around the United States. Like they did on April 5th? But they was all quiet. You didn't even see police because black people decided they wasn't showing up.
Mhm.
And I'm praying and asking black people don't show up on June 14th either.
Well, I haven't seen your TikTok video making that statement as of yet.
Well, I put it
but
on my Facebook page.
But we're certainly
It's,
seeing it as a mandate in social media, certainly from many. I'm almost hesitant to say concrete content creators or people who are posting have been saying really since the election to stay out of the fray, stay out of the middle, don't get caught up. We're being provoked.
yes.
This is their season to FOFA. And so yeah, we're not seeing as much involvement from the Black and the brown community, save for what's going on in California. Now I am seeing a lot of flags, but a flag does not necessarily denote who's covering them, who the flag is covering or who's carrying the flag. I am
Yeah.
seeing a lot of Mexican flags,
Oh, yes.
but I'm also seeing today content creators that are suggesting people carry only American flags for the psychological value, the political and philosophical value of carrying the American flag. But also, if you were to mask yourself as a, a protester, and I'm not, all the alphabet clubs, I'm not, I'm not suggesting people participate in any upheaval, but yeah, it makes more sense to use the American flag than really lean into that cultural national perspective that the taco gang loves to chew into.
Yeah. I'm just praying that our people sit out. I put it on my Facebook page with a dear black people. Stay home. Don't go out there. Cause I think he gonna be mad because nobody ain't gonna show up at his parade, his birthday celebration. Cause they gonna all be elsewhere protesting in the street against him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, using your own military on your own people on American soil. I mean, when the last time they had to have the National Guard out doing integration at the colleges and the high school where they came out to stop the KKs from destroying the black children that were integrating?
Well,
Mm-hmm.
let's be let's look at the details. The last time the National Guard was called out against the invite of a state was 1965 Alabama.
Yeah.
I just one little chime in. Governor Newsom is filing a lawsuit against President Trump. I don't know if the National Guard would have been called out as yet. Trump overshot his presidency by enacting the National Guard. So I'm watching to see how that play out. All this is eye catching. There's a lot of candy to the eye, but I'm trying to see when the dust settles how this stuff goes. That's my little 2 cents.
Would you say your little 2 cents?
Yeah.
Well, the National Guard's got boots on the ground and they waiting on the Marines. Now, Marines are not trained to de-escalate the situation. The National Guard isn't either. Any military force is trained to fight, not de-escalate, not to calm down stuff, not to be peacemakers. When you call them in, is kick ass and ask questions later. And basically, that's what it is. But the bad thing about it is, in a clickback that's going back to Taco Man, is that he sent in his National Guards, but he didn't send them in with no backup supplies and no plan to get them backup supplies. They didn't go in with water and ready to eat meals and a set up command place. So now they just, once again, like during COVID, sleeping wherever they can on the floor inside of buildings.
Where did she go? I was just getting ready to introduce Sister Abinah. She was there and then she
Yeah, she was
disappeared.
there.
Sister Abinah, there she is. Let's welcome and greet the beloved Sister Abinah.
Welcome,
Let me
Abinah.
see something.
Welcome.
I'm here. Blessings. Hey, brother Divine Friend. It has been. Let me see something. That's why I went out. Close that. All right. Now I had to close out the YouTube, so they had the two at the same time.
Oh, okay. So how you been? How you doing? And what say you about the annex?
About the who? What is it?
The antics that are going on in the California.
Antics. Oh Lord, no. Yo, like I say, yeah, they testing, it's testing ground. I just think like, okay, yeah, back in 1965, that's the last time they did that. I remember that in 1965. I was 5 years old looking at them on TV, watching them do all that stuff, what they was doing. And all this shit was targeted at our peoples, I believe. Back in 1965, the last time they ever called out the guard on protesters. Was that our black folks out there protesting after they bombed up the black children and after all the stuff they've been doing to us? That was in 1965, yes?
Yeah, Alabama, yes, ma'am.
Is that right? That
Mm-hmm.
1965 business. And here we go again. And as I see it, I'm a good look. I'm 65 at this point. And
well, congratulations, beloved.
I made it that far. It's been a good minute, Divine Prince. It's been a good, 15 years? And how long has it been?
It's been a
15,
while.
20 years. Look, my husband passed. It's been 12 years. And so it's been like 5 or 7 years before he passed that we were connected like that out here on these YouTube streets.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
However, yeah, I just think they just playing in our face. They just testing ground. I don't believe the whole Elon and Musk and Trump business. All that is just playing in our face. It's a straight setup, and they just testing and they working to get our black behinds out there in the street so they can use all the things that we were talking about 15, 20 years ago that we recognized and seen and saw and knew what was happening back then. And now we are at the time for them to begin to use all this stuff they've been, opening up this door. And this is really interesting. And I believe, bottom line, first and foremost, for black folks, sit your black behind down. Our work is internal. Our work is spiritual. This is spiritual warfare. And our spirits don't need to be out there in the street in them poisonous environments. It's like pulling in, breathe, and pull yourself back and stay.
That's right. This is the time
your house, in your head, up in your space, in your spirit, because that's where our energy and our power is, right there, not out there in them streets. Exuding and just flinging our energy out there all over them, being out there in the street with the protest. No, that's their shit. Let them deal with it. And anyway, half of them folks out there protesting there, I'm just saying, look, you came over here illegally and on damn taxing money our black ass it didn't scraped up and made and bled for. It's paying for you. So I think I got an issue with that right there anyway. I'm just saying, like, yeah. And they know that. They know that. Trump and them know that, and that's part of the setup to have we the people at each other's throat, because the reality is, like, for you all who are quote unquote illegal, them people the white folks who protesting for y'all, they're not paying for your housing and your medical care and all that old stuff. Our tax money paying for it. And because they business owners, they pay less taxes. It's all that low game stuff. Like,
but it has certainly, beloved, transcend beyond quote unquote illegals. I mean, they're American citizens being deported.
Well, that part for those who are illegal, that part is a mess. And because of the way they doing what they doing, that's happening. And that, I would say, yes, for those who are legal, it's a problem. Yet those who came over, it seems like a lot of them who came over illegally and now are in the active process of legalization, those are folks who are really being targeted as well. And they've been here in an active process of becoming legal because of the way Lord help us, the wheels of justice turn here in America. It moves slow. They done been here 15, 20 years working, doing the right thing and all that, raising a family, and now you want to send them back. That is some kind of jacked up shit, about kind of American BS and how they work. And that part, and if that's probably maybe where a lot of the protest is coming from, because many folks who have been in that type of situation, waiting, doing the right thing, working, and following the legal processes that have been in place for the past how long? How many years these processes have been in place? And now you just want to come in and throw everything out the damn door. That's the problem with Trump and his regime anyway. You know, you just going to come take everything right now, today, rip it up, tear it up, throw it out. That's it. And that's the BS that people are there. They are experiencing. Yeah, and at the same time, I'm like, our black behind's been experiencing the same shit, and he just moving y'all out the way because he coming for us. Because you expected we was going to do that. And anyway, y'all voted for him because y'all believed he was only coming for our black asses. And then you found out he came for y'all first. How about that? Because they voted for that ish. That's the other piece of it. You voted for that ish because you believe they weren't coming for, he wasn't coming for you. He was coming for black people, and you ain't give a flip flop about that. But you ain't know he had to move y'all asses out the way first. How about that piece of the puzzle? I see. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, thanks, sister, for your input. Very, very knowledgeable.
I'm sorry, yo. Thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me share.
That's fine, but it's our closing out time, and I like to just read a little of our, because I know you new here, and there may be some other new people, but just a little bit of our mission statement. So bear with me, and then we're gonna close out.
Yes,
inspired by the National Voodoo Day in Benin, and led by the Black community members, New Orleans International Voodoo Day is a day of collective remembrance and spiritual reparation that is preceded by a symposium and include a procession to the monuments at the sites of slavery in New Orleans, rituals to account for and seek absolution for the city and the country's participation in the institution of slavery. Homage to those ancestors who suffered through and survived the transatlantic slave trade. In honor and appreciation for the achievement of those who come out of oppression. But those who come out of oppression have never stopped in this country. And we've seen today, as everyone spoke of in the LA riots right now, it all simmering from oppression. And with that, I would say, let's keep our eyes on oppression, keep our minds and heart open to the National New Orleans Voodoo Day and the collective work we are all doing. With that, I say, Odabo, Ashe, Ashe, and thanks for everyone's presence tonight. Ashe,
AYIBOBO. AYIBOBO.
Okay.